Hello, hello, Maud here, and look what the post brought yesterday. The lady from the mail, I know her well, we live in a small village. And the moment I came home with Wolfie, she waved at me and she said, I think I've got something for you. So I had it straight out of her hands and I know, Susanne, that it was it's always a bit of a worry when you send somebody something so beautiful and something that you worked on so hard. I mean, it's only between Germany and the Netherlands, so most of the time it works like a charm, but sometimes things get lost. But I'm so happy this did not. Oh, I've looked through it like 4-5 times yesterday night, and each time I found something new that was a little bit hidden. And thank you again so much, Susanne, for making this for me. I am over the moon with it. I'm so happy with it. For you guys, I will work in this journal a little bit, and you'll see the pages as we go through it. But if you want a full flip through of this journal, I'm not going to do that once more, because Susanne has made a beautiful video of how she made this, and she talks you through all that is in here that is in German. So if you are English, American, you might not understand, but I think you will see all the love that went in through this, and I will link her video down below, of course. But today I want to work in this journal with some India ink. I've put some in my ink pot that I showed you in my last video, where I told you about all the things, all the vintage things that I have and that I use. For those of you who are not familiar with Indian ink, it is Oost-Indische inkt in Dutch, Encre de Chine in French, Chinesische Tusche in German. I was telling Susanne yesterday that it was Oost-Indian Tusche, but it's Chinesische. Tinta China, I think that's Spanish. So I bought this big bottle. I'm not ever going to buy a big bottle like this again, because it dries out. So I need it closed, because if I have it in here too long, it gets gloopy. I also have this white ink from Winsor & Newton, and this was very gloopy this morning. This is not waterproof, so I could dilute this with water. As long as this is kind of liquid, you can dilute it with water, but as soon as it is completely dry, then it's waterproof. So for me, it is a good substitute for pigment liners and for micron pens, these. But then again, these pens, they show you the width, and using these nibs you have to practice, and you don't get a straight line like you do with these. So it is different, but for me this works. And I've also practiced a little bit before I'm going into the journal, and also I might just show you how I do these on book pages, because if I mess it up on a book page, no worries, I can throw it away. But if I mess it up inside this journal, oh, no way I will do that. So yeah, let me open this journal up for you and let's look through it. And I also have this paper pad from Action that I bought in my last haul. And all these flowers, they give me so much inspiration to do my doodling. Because if I doodle from the top of my head, it never works out that well. So you guys, here is the most beautiful journal that I had in a while. And what I so adore in everything that Susanne made for me is that she uses these really delicate but so well constructed items that, oh, look, and this is even gold. I love it so much. And I watched Susanne's video, of course, and when I saw this on video, I was already over the moon with joy about everything she did. But seeing it in person, it is even more wonderful. So if you have a buddy and you both go to Action, then exchange a journal. It is so much fun, I have to tell you. And Susanne was so sweet to write little notes all throughout the journal, and they are treasures, real treasures. But as we go through the journal, I'm going to take the ephemera out because it is a crocodile mouth. And working in the journal, I'm going to put everything back in again. But then again, if I want to work in it now, then perhaps it's easier to take some things out. But oh, Susanne, I'm so happy with these hand-drawn flowers that you made. I love them, and I'm going to keep them in here because they're most safe in here. So I'm going to keep these. I really love, and you've written love, 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 love all throughout. I really enjoy this so much. And also this and the stamp. And I love this stamp. I haven't found it in an Action yet, but if I find it, I know it's a wooden stamp, I will take it also. I love what you did here with the little dots. Oh, and look how delicate this is. And yet it is so well constructed that my husband was afraid he would break something looking at it. And I said, no, everything is so well constructed. It's okay. And thank you so much for sending me those beautiful stamps. And I saw how you did this envelope in your video, and I think it's genius. I know this is a stamp. It's really beautiful. And I really loved your idea of doing a little drawing on vellum. So I tried it as well. And I did this like 10 minutes ago. So this still has to dry. Oh, look at all the beautiful pages. Taking all the ephemera out, it will probably be much less of a crocodile mouth. And thank you so much for sending me your collage papers, because they inspire me to make my own. Oh, and I really love this one. I love this little bird. That's also something I might try to do a sketch myself. There were more old papers in here, but I will find them. Oh, and this was so beautiful, because at first I did not see that I could flip this one open, and there was even more behind it. And I have this paper too from Action, and I really like it. So you've given me more ideas how to use it. And this is so beautiful, but because it has a golden shimmer to it. Yeah, the camera picks it up. It's quite rainy out here, so my camera has a hard time adjusting to the light. Oh yeah, and this. Oh, I really love this note. Thank you so much. And now I can work in it a little better, and I will keep this together with the journal. And while I work inside the journal, I will put it back. But let me show you first how I go about using these and making these. I've also taken out watercolor paper of really good quality that well, this I did not like, so I turned the paper around and made these. But then again, I could show you another piece of watercolor paper. This is yeah, and I have a book page here that is vintage, truly vintage, but that works fine because I've also got a paper that is of a different quality. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but this is, yeah, probably there's more wood pulp in this one. And if I write on this one, then the ink immediately, oh, let me zoom you in. The difference between the papers. Let me show you. And try this out if you start with the drawing. It flows. Oh, it's not on camera. It flows, and it makes the mark quite wide. And this is also vintage paper, but this is so different. So look at what papers you use if you want to do some drawing, because this is the same pen nib, but it's quite different to how it behaves. And I also have this pen nib that is really fine. So this is a flexible nib. This is a really fine nib. And this is a broad nib. As you can see, the tip of the pen is quite broad, whereas these are really fine. I hope you can see the difference. And I love to have all three available in a pen holder. But let me show you. This does the same, although it is a fine nib. But that is because of the paper. If I use it on the watercolor paper, it behaves differently again. So don't work straight into your journal the first time. Try it out on a piece of paper first. Now the one with the broad nib. This is completely different. And now the one with the flexible nib. And the fun thing that you can do with a flexible nib is do true calligraphy. I'm not very good at it, so but try it out and have some fun. I mean, for me, this is like playing. Now let me zoom you out again a little bit and let's do some drawing. I've narrowed the page down because otherwise it will never fit the beautiful journal that Susanne made me. But I both love working on this narrow bit and on this one. And let me just put some things aside and put down my inspiration. And this time I'm going to do these kind of thistle-like flowers. So drawing doesn't have to be difficult. It's like handwriting. You can do it. If you can write, you can draw, I think. And these doodles are so much fun to do because they're not that difficult. And they don't have to be exactly the same as the one that you're looking at. And it's just a starting point. And if you are familiar with doodling for a long time, then you will get more confident. And what I like to do is ground the flower and put a little grass. And now for this one, let's just do like this sprig of rosemary, I think. But let's make it a lot bigger than in the example. And if you think, well, I can't doodle, I can never do this, then stamp this. I mean, I showed you the beautiful stamps from Action. And if you're not confident in doing this, start first with the stamping and use waterproof ink. And you can use some watercolor afterwards. And again, I want to ground this a little bit. Now I will dry these and I will come back using some watercolor on top of this, and again I will try the watercolors that I bought in Action and also some other watercolors of better quality, but let's see how they work. I also want to show you how the India ink, when it's not completely dry, it will flow with water. But then again, that might be something that is nice to use if you want to do some shadows, or it's a different kind of way of working. Let me take a water brush. Now the ink was not dry. and I can move it around. Here the ink is dry, and you can see I can't move it around. But then again, let me zoom you in. If my camera wants to work. This is also something nice to do, but yeah, it takes practice to work with India ink. And I have two sets of watercolors here. One is this by Prima Marketing. This watercolor is really nice. It almost behaves like gouache. It's really opaque, but working with it, I really like the colors. I hardly have to mix anything because the colors are already really beautiful. And then there's this watercolor set that I bought at Action and that I'm quite happy with. That it also comes with a water brush, so perfect. Now let me see if this is completely dry in the meantime. And that is something I can test by just throwing some water on there. And it is dry. It's not going anywhere, although I have wetted. You can see it. It doesn't move. It is waterproof. I just had some ink on my fingers that I did not take off, and that's why I smeared some extra ink on there. Let me use another brush that I like better. Using opaque paint sometimes is really nice. Let me zoom you in again. Because then you can really put something different on top of something that is already colored. So I'm using really light green now and mixing some of the pink with the green off camera to see what I can do with these petals. Now on this vellum, it really has to dry a long time. On normal paper, it will soak into the paper much sooner, but then again, I really like how this looks. And it buckles, but I am not worried about it. I will put it underneath a heavy book once it's dry, and it will dry completely. Now let's take this one and put some green on top. I have some darker green that I mixed, putting some colors together. Let me see if it will go on top of the... Oh, this ink is not dry completely, so it mixes together with the paint. Happy accidents, right? I will put this one aside because the ink has to dry. And let me work on this one. Let me zoom you out again a little bit. Not in, out. That it is in camera. Yep. And let's use the palette from Action. There's not a lot of mixing areas in this palette. Let me zoom you out a little more. So you almost have to use this straight out of the pan, which is okay, but I like my colors a little muted. Oh, the mixing tray is worthless. But then again, practice does help. A little bit of red in here, and then it is much more muted. Yeah, that's a nice green color. And again, you see the ink is not going anywhere because it's really waterproof. You know, I have so many mixed feelings about things that I buy at Action, because I must confess because they don't work as easily as the other products of higher quality, they ask more of your creativity. And sometimes, yeah, it's good to be challenged. But then again, sometimes I don't like the challenge. I'm putting some darker paint in here, and I'm hoping it will flow a little bit, just to give it a little bit of an extra. And now for the flowers, I'm going for pink again. And I'm using it straight from the pan. Since they're not so pigmented, it's okay. I mean, I don't have to dilute it a lot. Berries and flowers. Now I'm going to dry this as well, put it aside, and do one more. Let's do this sprig of rosemary. And some of these colors in this palette, when they're next to each other, they're so similar that there's hardly any difference. But then again, for just €5, I mean, this is a nice set to play with. And don't worry if you color outside of the lines or if it's not completely covered. That only adds to the artistic vibe. And the little new buds I will make darker. So give them a bit of a contrast as well. Let me take this up to the camera so you can see it better. So it doesn't take a really long time for for the ink to dry. And I love working on old paper like this. And this is, of course, a newer paper. And yeah, let me do this chamomile-like flower. And since I want these petals to be white, I'm going to mix some blue and do the background. And as you can see, none of the ink is moving anywhere. Let's ground this, and let's use some green on the stems and the leaves. And I want more blue in the background. I am going to let everything dry and then put some of these inside Susanne's wonderful journal. And I'm going to be brave and try the white ink on the black page just to do a little doodle. If it doesn't work out, no worries, because that ink is not waterproof, so I can take it off anytime. But let me first dry this and I'll be back in a second. So I took my white ink out and I have put a clip on this page, and now let me see what doodle I like best. I think this really easy one. This is still a little bit gloopy, so it does not want to flow as easily as the India ink. But thinning it down with water really helped. Look how nice this looks. Now I can't throw any water on here. I can't use watercolor, but this looks so nice. And I don't need a white gel pen if I have this. And gel pens, they don't last. I mean, they dry out really quickly. But yeah, this works like a charm. So let me just put, you see it is still gloopy, and now it Doesn't want to come out as easily. Let me just doodle away a little bit, finishing the ink on this pen. But it's fine, I will just wipe it off, and really happy with this. So this is by, again, this is by Winsor & Newton. It's calligraphy ink for fountain pens and dip pens. Now this has to dry also. So for the other ones, I used my heat tool, and I will do that again, and I'll be back in a second. It's dry, it's not going anywhere, I think. Let's be sure and put my blotter on here. Yeah, it is dry. I'm not smearing it with my fingers because then immediately I would have a wipe. But if I do this with my blotter, then, and you could also do this with a piece of really absorbing paper. Now let me see where I want this fun little element. I really like it here. And I really love how Susanne made these pages. Go look at her video and see how wonderful she does this. I'm going to use my Pritt stick to glue this, and use a glue book. With the India ink, it's okay if you use wet glue. I mean, no problem there, but because I also used watercolor on there, I'm not going to use any other glue than just Pritt stick. So the first little thing by me in Susanne's journal. Oh, thank you, Susanne. I'm going to work in this journal this coming month at least, and be so happy working in it. I will write in it, I will doodle, I will enjoy it so much. And thank you all for watching my videos. And if you like my videos, consider to subscribe. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and in that way you help out my channel a lot. So thank you again for being here, and hope to see you again really soon. Bye bye for now.